Good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome to the Tonya Harbin Real Estate Hour. For the next 30 minutes, we're going to talk real estate. How to buy it, how to sell it, how to make the most out of your investment. And here's the best part. If you're looking for somebody to help you find investment property, the person you need to look to is number one in Abilene and the Big Country for the last 10 years in a row. She's I'm one of her biggest fans, and she is one of my favorite realtors because she takes care of her clients. But at the same time, if you're looking to invest, the Wall Street Journal puts her in the top 1% of real estate brokers, real estate agents in America. Here, without further ado, I'm her fan, and I sing her songs. Tonya Harbin! We love you, Tonya! Oh, yes, we do! We love you, Tonya! We love you, true!
This is why I come every time, because you're just so energetic.
But, you know, the energy is in the room. When you walked in today, I felt an extra vibe, an extra feel. So apparently, you've been doing some great things in and around Abilene. I actually know two people that walked up to me this past week, and they said, Rudy, I just bought a house, and you won't believe who my agent was. And I said, Tonya? You know, it's one of those, Tonya? They were like, yes, Tonya, she's amazing. She's incredible. And this is something that I kind of, you only hear about this from movie stars, all right? This is, I'm telling you right now, because I recently tore a couple of ligaments in my arm. I was trying to help my wife, and I ended up lifting something and slipping and falling. I tore two ligaments, and I go to the hospital, and I have to get shots, and my doctor is in the room, and a couple other doctors and nurses are coming in and out, and the conversation turned to, hey, I want to thank you for turning me on to Tonya Harbin. And I went, yeah, she's pretty cool. And all of a sudden, it became a Tonya Harbin fan fest. Does that not just blow you away? Because you are like a movie star. You are like a rock star, because here we've got these doctors and nurses and people all around me that you help them. Because I will just say this, one person in the room in particular said they had this house on the market, I think for nearly a year. And then all of a sudden, Tonya Harbin steps in, takes over, and boom, it was gone in less than 30 days.
That's our marketing team. They're just amazing.
You do have an amazing team. So I got to ask, because with that kind of fame, especially when you're talking around a bunch of professionals like that, and they're talking about you, Tonya Harbin, Tonya Harbin Real Estate, brokered by Real, you're like a star. Have you ever met any stars here in Abilene?
Not in Abilene, but all around. Barbara Corcoran, Ryan Serhant, Rascal Flats.
Yeah.
Gary LeVox. Lots of fun people. But, you know, there's also been stars that have come to Abilene. So, hey, what is going on with that the White House?
All right, with the White House, the old mansion, it started with the Cashmere's building it back in, you know, the 80s, and then
wasn't that the same people that owned the Royal Inn?
Absolutely.
Yes.
And she was German, and I believe he was Indian. So when you look at the way the house was built, and this is their national background. They brought in the way the heritage from their country, and when you look at the house, you can almost see some of the German, heritage, and some of the Indian and Middle Eastern heritage.
I've heard there was like gold in there.
Okay, silk wallpaper.
Really?
Silk wallpaper on the wall, silk. And it's not paper, but silk wallpaper. It was almost like they hung sheets, but it was awesome. The other things they put in is I'm talking about ancient marble tile on the floors. The bathroom in the primary suite had a huge sunken tub and all that, but all the fixtures were 24 karat gold plated. So yes, you're right, Tonya.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to say this white mansion house is probably the most famous house in Abilene. People ask about it all the time whenever they're moving here, like what's going on with that house?
Well, the Cashmere's owned it first, and after some time when they weren't able to get it transformed into what they were going to do with it, they did live in the house in the servants' quarters. There's an area called the servants' quarters for the maid and the cook and all that, and they lived in it for a while. When the house was repossessed by the bank, and that's when all the oil industry crashed in the mid-'80s.
I remember seeing it on eBay.
Yes, ma'am. And they were trying to sell it. So it got repoed. It was owned to the city. So whoever comes in next buys it. And it just happens to be some friends. I became friends with them after that. And it was Jeannie and Jerry Smith. Jerry Smith is a contractor in Hollywood, California.
Oh, wow.
Ironic how we're talking about this. Do you know what Jerry Smith did?
No.
He rebuilt the stars' homes. He would go in there and either build them a home or rebuild whatever they bought and customize it for them. So he and his wife come to visit their daddy, or their daughter, whose daddy is, their daughter's husband is in the Air Force, and they were living here, so they came by to visit. And it happened to be that they were going down Buffalo Gap Road, and they saw the house that was closed down and said, foreclosure or whatever, the tags that were. Anyway, so they saw the house, and guess what? She says, "Oh, why don't you buy me this? That way I can come and have a great place to stay when I come to visit the granddaughters." They go back to California, Los Angeles, Hollywood. They go back, and within a month, he surprised her with the keys to 7203 Buffalo Gap Road. 7302 Buffalo Gap Road. They surprised him with the keys to 7302 Buffalo Gap Road, said, "There you go, honey, you got a place to go visit the kiddos." So while he stayed in California, in Hollywood, and in Anaheim and that whole area, working on homes for the stars, she was over here spending time with her kids. My children, I have daughters that were friends with their kids that were going to the same school, would rollerblade up and down the hallways.
Oh my goodness, it's such a big house.
On that Italian marble tile.
So how large is that house? Do you know?
It's over 20,000 square feet. I think it's 24,000 square feet.
I mean, so it is by far the biggest house in Abilene.
It is, I believe so, because it had an indoor pool, and it has an outdoor pool, and it has 2 ballrooms, the pink room and the blue room, and that's what she called it. In fact, Jeannie Smith, God rest her soul, inspired me to start naming the rooms in my house. So when you come to Casa de Fernandez, I'll say, yeah, that's the garden room over there. That's the computer room over there. That's the family. And so we started giving, because
names.
You walk into her house, you walk into that mansion, and what's it got? Oh, you're in the blue room. This is, the blue room had its own bar.
Right. Oh my goodness.
And it was, in fact, the blue room was just off of the swimming pool, the indoor swimming pool, which is right next door to the outdoor swimming pool. So, and then through the history of it, when Jeannie was there by herself for the longest time, she lived there by herself. I recall the movie, and I want to say it was Clint Eastwood, and Robert De Niro was shooting a movie in Albany and Anson or something like that. Anyway, when they were here, they were staying at the Embassy Suites at the time. So I'm walking down the road, and people were honking and trying to talk to them. I said, "Guys, you need another place to stay, let me know." And I ended up getting them in touch with Jeannie and them, and they stayed in the mansion for a while.
Oh wow, I did not know that.
Little Texas has written a song in the mansion. Some of the guys needed a place to come and gather where they wouldn't be bothered. And I said, "Hey, I got a place. Hey, Jeannie, you want these guys?" And they said, "We never saw her except for in the mornings when she would be in there making coffee."
Well, I mean, it's over 20,000 square feet.
Yeah, I guess somebody could be in the lawn and garden department while somebody else is in the grocery department of that.
That is crazy. I didn't realize that celebrities had stayed at the White House before.
There's been several celebrities that have stayed there, and there was rumor at one time when he was president of the United States, and when he got out, President Bush was going to think about buying the mansion and moving here.
That's crazy.
And then word got out about that, and then we never
So
heard.
then who owns it now?
The church the church owned it, Champions, and I understand that the pastor of the church took ownership of it since then. So I know that they've been working on the issues with the plumbing underneath the sewage, but other than that, the house is beautiful. I would be honored if I could own and live in that house or turn it into an Airbnb. Everybody keeps wanting.
It would be a great Airbnb.
What about, David, you said a wedding venue.
Wedding venue, yeah.
What other ideas may you have about that?
I mean, there's just so many different things I think that you could do with it, and it's just sitting there. So I would just love to see it revived and you know made into something that people can use, because I think it's such a talking point in our city. You know, it's the White House on Buffalo Gap.
My idea has always been to turn it into a private dining facility, and here's what I'm talking about. Tonya is going to have a very important meeting with her staff, and they're going to have it on the White House, just call it the White House.
Right.
At the White House on Buffalo Gap Road. And so you take the blue room and somebody else wants the green. But, you know, you got to accommodate the parking. So that would be an issue because the properties around it, I believe, are owned by different owners now.
Okay. Well, lots of different things that you could do with it. So it's very neat history, and that's something that we're always asked about here in Abilene.
And I know that some celebrities have stayed there, movie stars and country singers, when it was there was a time that it was alive and well. Now nobody's in there, and we've had some people break into it to do videos on YouTube.
I mean, people have been writing about that house, doing videos about that house. People know about that house all over, really.
Yeah.
And it's
so if the owners would like to give us a tour, I mean, we're all for it. Right, Rudy?
Yes. I would be the first one to say, come on, let's go.
Would you like to put your sign out front?
I would, really. So.
That would make a great real estate agency office.
I know, it would.
With two swimming pools.
Also, I think it would make a great spa.
Oh, yeah. That would be a great mani-pedi spa.
Yeah, so many things to do with it.
Plenty of room. You could do a lot of things like that in there.
Yeah.
Meeting areas.
You know what, David? I think you would have a great time inspecting it.
That would be a little bit of time to do that big old
It
place.
would probably take a couple of days, huh?
Probably would, yeah.
Would it really? I mean, what goes into inspecting something like that? Right now, the rumors that I've heard, and these are rumors, so I just got to make sure that, but I've been told by people that have been in and out of that house, and some of the workers that were working on it not too long ago, one was working for the city and trying to connect the sewage up. They're saying, oh, there's a lot of foundation issues. There's a lot of this issue. I mean, really, how would you go about trying to figure that out? Because it's even got a huge attic you could live in, and somebody was at one time.
Yeah, no kidding.
He broke in and was living in the attic.
Really? Wow.
While Jeannie was there.
Yeah, boy, the stories that house could tell in the walls, right?
Yeah,
Golly.
absolutely.
But, to answer your question, it would just take, it might actually take 2 days or so to do it with a few guys. Bring the team out there and we all tackle an area.
I mean,
that's really
and a lot
good.
of tools and, the foundation, all those specialty tools out there.
So do you typically see more issues in a house when it's been vacant? I mean, because that's been vacant for a long period of time.
Yes, and mainly from damage, from rodents and everything like that, and plumbing. Plumbing would be the one. When we don't use it, kind of just, it isn't good.
well, and they've been out there, so
For sure.
we know for a fact that they had several trucks, and they had one of those front-end loaders that was doing the digging and stuff like that. So it was, I see it all because I live just right behind it, but across the street from it.
Yeah.
I live catty-cornered from it, and I see it. I could tell the story of the White Mansion when the guys that were breaking in, 2 of the men lived in Fairway. The other 2 were recently released ex-cons that were trying to break in, and it happened around 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning, and I was laying tile in my primary suite bathroom. Went outside to clean the tile, the little, blade that I was using, and I heard ba-boom! And you could hear somebody was hitting something really hard. And you heard it again, ba-boom! Being the Boy Scout that I am, I run into my house, into my safe room, I put on the night vision goggles, And I heard something, so I grabbed a rifle and I walked outside and I got behind, and I could see I could see 4 men in the backside where the garages are, and they looked like they were hitting it with a sledgehammer of some kind, trying to knock down the doors. I called 911, and the 911 operator says, "What was that?" And I said, "They're hitting the garage doors with something. You better come. There's 4 of them." And she goes, "Do you know what?" I said, she asked me, "Do you know if they're white, black, Hispanic?" What? I said, "I can't tell. They're all blue." And she goes, "What?" I said, "I'm wearing night vision goggles." She goes, "You're what?" And I said, "Just get over here." And then all of a sudden, I guess within 5 minutes, the police came. They split and they started running in different directions. And I said, "There's one right here in my front yard." Anyway, I won't describe that on air right now, but it was kind of crazy. But they arrested them. They were trying to break in because they heard, and this is the truth, that the Cashmere Mansion, Miss Cashmere, it wasn't Pete, but it was Miss Cashmere that brought in, and it might have been Pete that said, "We want to have these kind of chandeliers," and they're Ledford crystal chandeliers. I just saw Tonya's eyebrows go, "What?" And there is a lot of value that was built into that house, because when I got to tour it after the Cashmeres moved out and the Smiths moved in, there was a lot, and like I said, the sink, drains, and everything that was gold was 24 karat gold plated. The chandeliers were Ledford. I don't even know what Ledford crystal is, but now I know what Ledford crystal is because it's something that makes Tonya's eyes go.
So do 24 karat sinks, I mean, do those last longer if you're doing an inspection?
You know, honestly,
I'm sure you do a lot of those here in Abilene.
I've never seen a gold sink. Gold plated or gold painted, but
Yeah, no, these are the knobs and everything.
Wow.
It was all gold plated. And it was phenomenal. The house is phenomenal. If you get to walk in there and you have a creative sense about you, the Cashmere Mansion will blow your mind. I'm like going, I would love to just spend a weekend just sitting, relaxing, but then you're gonna sit there. What was that? Did you hear that? I'm sorry, did somebody hear something? Okay, I'm gonna go look. Hand me my night vision goggles.
It's a pretty neat house with
Yeah.
a lot of history, that's for sure.
All right, so yeah, and I love the fact that a lot of folks have been able to use it, and I guess it has been an Airbnb, even though she never charged them. You know, she just said, just stay, make yourselves at home.
Yeah.
So I thought it was pretty cool that she allowed some folks to come and utilize some of the space for that. So, and I think there was a couple of wedding, what do you call them? Wedding showers that did take place after the home was no longer, I think it was owned by Champions Church at one time.
good place to do pictures.
Yeah.
People come take pictures.
There's just so many things, so it's unfortunate it's just sitting there, but I'm sure
Yeah.
they're working on it to do something.
I hope so.
I
I mean, we drive by it every day, so yeah.
A movie star VIP rehab center where they come and just, I've been on the movie screen. I need to just rest and relax. A spa, that's what you call
I got
it.
a new studio.
Oh yeah, new radio studio. Broadcasting live from the White House.
Hey,
Abilene.
that would be pretty exciting.
Maybe.
I mean, we'd come there every day and hang out.
Let's do one of Tonya Harbin real estate shows from there.
Hey, now that's a good idea.
Yeah, we need to talk to the owners.
And the studio audience is stunned, amazed, and gasping for air. That's what I'm saying. All right, so let's talk about real estate and the fact that so when you have a house like that, Tonya, would that be a difficulty for you to sell? Let's say that Mr. Renner, because your business is
Home inspections.
all right, and you are
David Renner.
no, I know that,
Renner inspection.
but they call you aren't you like the
House whisperer. I don't know
No.
what you get at.
the Terminator, you know what I'm talking about. You get in there and you take care of it. So it's going to take you a while. Let's say that David gets it, okay, and gives you the thumbs up, everything that we got to get fixed. Would you be able to sell? Is that? And what would it be worth?
I mean, everything is sellable. It's going to depend on the condition of the home, what all it needs, and then where somebody's willing to price it. Are they going to price it to sell or, price it to sit? So, you'd really have to see it. I feel like the last time it sold, it was around $300,000.
That was, taxes owed. So the house, but the house was built
Just
nearly
for
$1 million.
land.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. But the house was built for nearly $1 million.
Right. Well, because it was back in the 80s.
Right, and it was during the oil boom days, and then when we had the crash of the oil boom, and then Black Friday, and everything went south. Then all of a sudden, the house was no more. It was like the bank repos it and then puts it up for grabs.
Yeah. That's when it was on eBay.
Seriously, it was on
I remember
eBay?
seeing it on eBay. Yes, as an auction, and it was there for a long time and didn't sell. So, again, price is everything, and it was the time. I mean, $300,000 is worth a lot more than it is, or worth more now than then.
Sure, yeah.
The history of that house, for as long as it's been built and the size of it, what really boggles my mind is the fact that it's not been lived in. It's not really been lived in. Jeannie did use the primary suite because it's got an elevated bed. It's got that marble. When you walk into the suite, and it's got a sofa, love seat, a fireplace over here, and you see this huge California king bed, and you got to go up 2 steps to get on, and it was like phenomenal. And that's all that tile and then you look over, when you're at the foot of the bed, you look over, and you've got this massive primary suite bathroom with gold fixtures and marble, and I'm like, oh man, I've died and gone to heaven.
Yeah, we really need to tour that. So David, if a house is vacant for a long time, you're moving out of your house, you think it's going to be vacant for a year. I mean, is there anything that you should do to try to protect the house?
Let's winterize it. Basically, what a lot of people call winterize. We get some companies that do that professionally. They drain all the water out of the house, put some antifreeze type stuff in it, and to keep it from freezing and rotting.
So that protects your plumbing?
It does help, for sure. For sure.
So, I mean, should somebody go over there every once in a while, flush some toilets?
No, because all that has been winterized.
Winterized, yeah.
But like we always do talk about, keep the foundation water. That probably will help you a lot too. So
I think that's a big thing. I mean, even if you're living in your house,
Absolutely.
I mean, all the time, I went to one house to list, and they said they'd been gone 2 months in the summer, and they came back and nobody had watered, and all of their tile was cracked throughout their house because it hadn't rained at all.
Air conditioning off and things like that too. Yeah, so it's just a change in the environment of the home. We get all these cracks. I describe it a lot of times as face cracks, or smile lines.
Yeah.
That people get in their homes.
From not watering the outside.
Yeah, water it and keep the heating and air conditioning on.
So many people, they turn it off, like they're leaving town and they turn it off. And I'm going to say I used to be one of them because I did not want to pay air conditioning.
Correct.
But then, my husband was like, it takes forever even just to cool back off your house whenever the AC's been off for so long.
Right. And a bonus of air conditioning is it helps dehumidify the air, so it keeps the humidity down. So let's say you're gone for 2 months, and this home gets really humid inside of it. So that changes all the wood and fixtures and everything else. It swells it back up. Then you come home and turn it back on, and it dries it all back out. And so it's the change of the environment of the home that causes problems for us. Doors don't open and close, or latch right, or
So
paint cracks,
Yeah.
all those things.
So on a typical summer day, let's say we're going to take a vacation, going to be gone for a little bit. What temperature would you recommend leaving to at least do away with that humidity and that moisture you're talking about?
I don't know, maybe 85 or so, 82 to 85. Really, maybe kind of a little bit depends on what you normally keep your house at. If you keep it at 78, go to 85. If you keep it 72, you can go to 80 or something.
Okay.
So you can still turn it up
Turn it up for sure. The same thing would apply in the winter. You turn your heat down in the 50s, right? At least not hitting it down in the 30-degree range.
Yeah.
So you don't have freezing pipes that way either.
Right.
All right. So, and the foundation needs to be watered from the outside. And you actually gave us a formula Can you share that with us today? The formula of watering the foundation from the outside. Did you say it's kind of like 2 feet away from the house?
Shoulders width apart, and just keep the ground moisture consistent.
So you got to keep it. I mean, is it going to be squishy when you're going?
You don't need to have it squishy. Just keep some moisture in it.
Okay.
That way, when it rains, it doesn't swell up as much, and obviously you're keeping some moisture so it doesn't dry and shrink.
You know, because I've had foundation estimates or, foundation guys go out, and it's different if it just rained versus if it hasn't rained in a while. Like, it can measure a little bit different.
Oh, for sure. I mean, my own personal house, I see some movement around my garage a little bit, depending on the time of the year. See it every time.
Yeah.
So we try to keep some moisture in the soil. Do a soaker hose, garden hose. You can stand out there and do it if you want, but turn your sprinklers on. Yeah.
Because that blows me away that we're talking about this, and that mansion on Buffalo Gap Road has been left alone. I haven't seen a sprinkler system since this all began. I mean, the history of that.
Which might be okay. I mean, the house is stabilized to its current environment.
Right.
So if someone puts their sign outside and they sell it and someone else gets it, they'll have to try to maintain it or change it a little bit slowly.
From being watered.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that house has a lot of vegetation around the front. They're probably going to want to pull a lot of that out just so you can see the house. But, we make changes like that to our houses too with landscaping and things like that. That changes it too. Add a tree, remove a tree.
But the whole time that it's been vacant, nothing's been done on the outside. I've never seen sprinklers pop up or go down. I did see some time ago, and this may be what they've been fixing, puddling in the yard and coming off to the side on Meadow Drive right there between Meadow and Buffalo Gap Road.
I mean, it'll be some work for someone when they eventually get it. I hope sometime soon, but it's probably a very cool place inside. I haven't personally ever been, but from what you're describing.
But we're volunteering if the owners want to let us have a tour.
Rudy's going to give us a tour since he knows quite a bit about it already.
Well, I've been there and it's got an awesome library. Was Mr. Smith's office there at the house, and the walls are oak lined. I know that that's probably old-fashioned, but remember when the house was built in the early 80s. And here, it's now, when you walk in, I felt very comfortable in Mr. Smith's, when, I guess it was Mr. Cashmere's, but Mr. Smith turned it into his library. And as you walk in, he's got bookcases on either side of it.
Like one of those smoking libraries where guys have scars and stuff.
Absolutely, yes, absolutely, that's what it looked like.
Yeah.
It was phenomenal. Anyway, so that's 7302 Buffalo Gap Road. If you want to contact me, I'd love to we could do a show from there. Wouldn't it be cool?
I know, that would be
the
so
kitchen.
amazing. We need to talk to the owners.
Yeah, we need to do it in the kitchen because it's got a tall bar in the center, center island. I call them bars. If it's a center island, we could all sit around there and maybe have a little quaint little chat.
It was really interesting at the mastermind I went to a couple weeks ago. Something that they said is, whenever we live in a house, we always think that house is part of our story. Like we lived there for a little bit. But really, I mean, the house is always there, and we are part of the house story. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Because, the house has one family, and then that family moves out, and then it's another family. Very interesting. But, so that house has a lot of stories of people that have lived there or been there. It's pretty neat.
Funny how a house that hasn't really been lived in has a lot of history.
It does. It's
That's
so
true.
well known. I've always called it the Royal Inn House, just because I remember when the Royal Inn Hotel was a big thing in Abilene. I remember going there and just knowing that the people that built that also built this house.
Funny thing you bring that up, and we can end the show with this. The Royal Inn is where I sat with a former Abilenian from Abilene Christian University. She was a singer at the time. Holly Dunn had gone to ACU. And Kathy Mateo were opening for George Strait. And by the way, they were staying at the Royal Inn back in the day.
That's so crazy.
And after the concert, we went to have a chat in the lounge. So, with that said. All right.
Very neat.
We're running out of time. I just got to say, Tonya, are you going to be out and about this weekend?
We are. We've got lots of open houses. They are all on our Facebook page.
And the best thing to do is check it out, facebook.com/Tonya Harbin Team. That's facebook.com/Tonya Harbin Team. Mr. Renner, if we need your services, how do we get a hold of you?
I'm all over the internet, but phone number 325-829-0146.
What's your web address?
Renner Inspection.
RennerInspection.com. Check it out. Thanks. We'll
Yes,
see you
sir.
later. And by the way, start packing. You're going to be moving soon into a mansion. This is KYYW, Abilene, Texas.